To call this meeting to order. All right, was it properly posted? All right, we have a 6-point agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. All right, motion by voice, second by McKee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. All right, item number 4, discussion of 12-hour work shifts for the road and jail dispatch.
We've been approached by several of our employees in the jail as far as switching to 12-hour shifts to try to help with keeping our employees and maybe attracting new employees to the job. Most of the employees have been talked to about the 12-hour shift. Most are in favor with it. There is a couple that have some questions about how it's going to work with our facility.
How does it work?
We're still working out some of the details. I have talked to majority of our surrounding counties as far as their staffing levels and how it works for them. Crawford County has, at this point in time, 7 full-time jailers. And Lafayette
12s.
have 12s, yep.
Okay.
And Lafayette has 10, and they said they have no problem making it work with their schedule. Crawford does have, at this time, 7 part-timers. Lafayette has no part-timers.
And 10 full-time.
Yep.
And we have how many full-time?
When we're full staff, we have 14.
Okay.
There is things that we have to try to figure out. Switching to 12-hour shifts would mean that there'd be 122 hours that they would work extra from what they work right now, which I don't think the county would ever want to pay for those additional 45 hours. So, sorry, 122 hours, which would be about $45,000 extra in pay.
Total from across all of them?
For all 14 of them.
All 14 of them? Yeah.
So we have thought about possibly doing it'd be approximately 2 shifts per month at an 8-hour shift. A couple months would have to have 3 8-hour shifts in them to make up that difference and not cost the county any extra money to work the 12-hour shifts very much.
What about taking into consideration overtime? Assuming that maybe this would create less overtime, does that make up the difference with the 45,000?
There's still gonna be overtime no matter what we do, just because
if someone's sick on vacation,
plan as far as someone taking vacation, someone gets sick, someone gets injured,
quit.
So there's always that overtime issue that's going to be there.
Right.
So I don't think I want to.
You don't want to count on that. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I mean, I don't either if it's not a true savings. Yeah.
I think the potential would be there that there would be overtime savings, but
we can't guarantee it.
To put a number on it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Talk in the microphone.
Oh, it's not on.
I worked 12-hour shifts for the last 20 years of my working life, and I loved them because you are working less, less days. But we also found it easier to get people to come in to do overtime because they worked less days, so they have more days off, so they're more likely to come in if you need them.
And that's
something to look at too.
Yeah, and that's what I found out talking with Lafayette County and Crawford County. They both said their employees are on days off. They jump at the chance of getting the overtime because there isn't as much overtime available. So they jump at taking the shifts if there's availability.
That would help.
And we're also trying to do more recruiting for part-time in the jail. I know our 2 guys that we just hired for the road, they're still down at Southwest Tech. And they're going to start talking to some of the first-year people down there. So this is a good way to get a shoe in, get some experience, and still have a job while you're going to school. So we're still trying to recruit for some more part-timers to help cover for like vacation and whatnot, to try to keep our full staffing levels, even if someone takes vacation. But there is going to be some, things that we haven't really looked into 100%. So if we do this, it'd be obviously a temporary schedule until we can figure out if it's going to work 100% for the department.
So do you think that you'll lose any staff if you do this switch?
As far as I know for the road, after they saw the jail having the opportunity to possibly go to this, they're 100% on board. They want to switch to it as soon as possible. They actually have a union meeting scheduled for the 17th
To talk about
to
it?
talk about it.
Okay,
They see that they get every other weekend off. Most they work is 3 days in a row, and they're all on board with that. So,
okay,
as far as the jail, we thought maybe some of the older, more senior officers there would be against it. We're talking with our two most senior officers, Nettie and Sue. Nettie says if this is how we keep people and get people to come work for us,
They're all
she's all
for
in
it.
favor of doing it. Sounds like she's good with going to this. One of our more senior jail dispatch officers, Steve Sanders, I wouldn't say completely against it, but I think he's got some reservations on making sure it will work before we go to it. I think he actually might be on
Thank you,
this call
Steve.
right now.
There's a Steve behind you, yeah. So one question I have before so Lafayette, what's their average census? Is it around the same as us, 25?
They have a 25 inmate bed right now. They're at 37 inmates.
Oofta.
So they're shipping out their inmates to Iowa County.
Okay. And Crawford, I think they're about a 25
They're
average.
about the same right now.
So I guess in my mind, what I'm thinking is that we have 14 full-time people, and if we didn't replace someone who quit, that right there would be your $45,000. So potentially, it's because, why do we need 14 if we can do it with 13? And that's 3 more than what Lafayette County is doing it with, and how many more than what Crawford County is doing it with?
They have, when they're full staff, they have 8 full-timers for Crawford County.
And how many
They have
part-timers?
7 consistent part-timers.
Part-timers, yeah. So, but anyway, that's another avenue to consider. I don't want to cut any staff that is active, but if we don't replace someone when they leave, if that's an option we can consider as well to make it work.
The other side of this though too, that I would caution you against is we're still kind of in that where we have one person who is a dispatcher that's on, that doesn't really, the state lets us count,
Right.
but they don't really count as a jailer on staff because they're not free to leave that area
Right.
when they're in there. So, that's another, I guess, a point to consider when we're talking about, well, are we adequately covered or not? That's something
Right.
that needs to be
Yeah, I forgot about
consideration.
dispatch in that whole
So,
conversation.
yeah, so Crawford, the numbers you have are just for the jail staff?
Correct.
And they do have a separate dispatch center, and because they are separated, they lost the grant money last year. So everything that we got was because how it's handled, they did not get, and they put in pretty much for the same thing. So definitely their numbers would be higher just because of we're counting the telecommunicators and they aren't. So, and I think Lafayette, are they separate? I don't remember.
They're combined.
They're dual also, right? So I don't know how they're counting their numbers.
Okay. So what's your plan right now?
I've been talking to, I have a couple more jails I still want to talk to that are doing 12-hour shifts. Guys, I know Sauk County, they do their schedule, so they have an 8-hour day to make up for that difference in the hours.
So they're doing the same thing we would attempt
So
to
I
do?
want to talk to them first because I know Crawford County, they just pay their deputies the additional hours. Lafayette County pays their deputies the additional hours.
Okay.
So I want to talk to somebody else that would be doing the same thing. that
Similar
we're
situation to
possibly
us.
Doing
Okay.
to work out those details. I know there's also some concerns about, right now, we only earn sick leave at 8.5 hours. And, if it goes to this different 12-hour schedule, to take a sick leave day, you need 12 hours instead of 8.5.
Have you guys talked to the new administrator, interim administrator about this
I have
concept?
talked.
I've spoke with him, but not specifically on this topic.
He may have insight just because he's worked with a lot of different counties. And he may have some insight as to how to handle the finance part of it too.
Yeah, and I know that some of the jail, I think actually Lafayette County, I think they only do 8 hours of sick leave per month. But I think Crawford County, they actually do the 12 hours of sick leave per month that they get as well.
Okay, so there's quite a number of things to consider.
There's a lot of things to consider that.
Okay, so do you think you'll be ready to give us more information at the next
I'm hoping
Friday?
Yeah, at the next public safety meeting, I'll have more information. I've been
Okay.
talk to the rest of the people I want to talk to and have more details.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's something we should definitely pursue, so we would,
Yep, I think we need to consider every avenue that we can to try to get more people to work here and stay here, so.
right, okay. All right, anything else, any other questions? All right, so that brings us to item number 5. Interview candidate for the position of Sheriff's Department Jailer Dispatcher, move into closed session to conduct interviews pursuant to section 19.85 parent 1 of Wisconsin state statutes. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session. Motion by McKee, second by Frank. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was a unanimous vote, so we will now move into closed session. So. Right. Okay, so we are back in open session. So now if we would like to take action on our closed session item, I would entertain a motion. All right, I have a motion for, I guess, what's the terminology we use for forwarding her name on for consideration for employment? Right, okay, so, second by voice, all right, any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, you have your recommendation. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
All right, motion by Turk, second by Frank. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
We'll stop this
Thank you very much.